Firetongue. The sun of Edosh blazed over Inarian, the city of the fire elves, nestled deep within the desert sands. Scarlet banners fluttered between the towers, and the air was thick with the scent of incense and roasted food. It was the day of the fire dance, an ancient ritual of the fire elves, where every elf reaching adulthood had to perform a traditional dance in front of the gathered city. The streets overflowed with people. Sparks shot into the air as tradition demanded. Laughter and music echoed through the alleys, and vendors shouted by their food stalls. Amid the crowd walked a young elf woman. Her fiery red hair reflected the light of the sparks, but her eyes, usually blazing like embers, were dim today. No flame, no spark danced around her hands, for she had no fire, at least not the kind the others meant. They called her cold, a cruel and unfitting word among her people, used for those who were born without the gift of fire magic. Children said it openly. Adults whispered it behind her back, pity in their eyes. In a society where magical strength had become the measure of one's worth, she was seen as lacking. But they didn't understand that Liana was happy just the way she was. She had never wanted to be a great mage. There was a fire within her. It burned in her laughter, flared when she danced, and shone brightest when she sang. Her grandmother, Sariel, lived on the edge of the city in an old traditional house whose clay walls kept it cool, even under the desert sun. Charms and talismans hung from the beams, and symbols of flame adorned the walls. Sariel was old. Even among elves whose faces defied the passage of centuries, she was ancient. Yet her eyes gleamed with sharp wit and an unbroken spirit. She sat on her terrace beneath fluttering flame banners when Liana arrived. "You will dance tonight," Sariel said. It wasn't a question. Liana stared down at the tea her grandmother had poured for her. "I don't want to. That dance is about showing your magic. I'll just make a fool of myself." "A fool? No, child. You won't make yourself look foolish." Sariel's tone was cutting. "The dance used to be about true fire, about passion. Now they only imitate it, obsessed with perfection, waving their magic around like it means something. They're the ones who've gone cold. Back in my day, we would have honored someone like you." "Maybe, but today they'll just laugh at me," Liana said, shaking her head. "Then let them laugh," Sariel replied softly. "Show them your fire. They're fools if they can't see it." That evening, the plaza before the great temple filled with elves. Sariel had once told Liana that thousands of years ago, the Archangel of Fire himself had watched this very ritual. That might no longer be true, but the music still filled the hearts of the people. Drums, flutes, and voices blended together, creating a festive atmosphere in the entire city. The elders of Inarian sat in places of honor, cloaked in fiery robes. Sariel was among them. One by one, young elves took the stage, talented mages who sent waves of flame across the sand, shaped blossoms of fire, and wove sparks into golden spirals. Few elves reached adulthood each year. Long-lived as they were, they had few children. Most dancers had already performed when Iron Valeth took the stage. He was the pride of his generation, a tall elf whose flames shone the color of the sun. When he began the dance, fire swept through the air and across the city square. His movements were flawless, his magic brilliant. Sariel clasped her hands and sighed. "So cold," she murmured. His performance was perfect, soullessly perfect. When he finished, Iron bowed, and the crowd roared in approval, dazzled by the sheer power of his flames. Then came Liana's turn. A murmur rippled through the audience. She could hear what they whispered, could see it in their eyes. She'd seen that same pity since childhood. She doesn't even have flames. Poor thing. She's brave to even try. But Liana looked to her grandmother, seated among the elders. Sarael leaned forward, her gaze bright with something more than encouragement, anticipation. Show them your fire. Her lips formed silently. Liana took a deep breath. Her heart pounded in her chest. She wore not the crimson maid robes that had long become the norm for the dance, but the traditional dancer's garb of her people, light, flowing, adorned with symbols of flame. The music began softly, almost a whisper, like the crackling of a newborn fire. Liana closed her eyes and sang. Her voice was clear, bright, and warm. She sang of the sun, the desert, the fire that gave them life. She sang of the fire elves themselves. Then she began to dance, slowly at first, then faster, the rhythm catching her like a wind. From the elders' dais, Sarael watched. The crowd had gone silent, spellbound. Liana's voice filled the square. Her movements spun and burned, not to impress, but to live. She burned brighter than any flame the elves had seen in decades. The people felt it, her passion, her joy, and one by one they began to move, to sway, to dance. Soon, laughter and song rippled through the crowd. The fire elves sang with her, their magic igniting anew. All across the city, flames flickered to life and began to dance to her melody, unconsciously controlled by the celebrating fire elves. The very fire Liana was said to lack now moved with her. Sarael, who had been the first to rise and dance, wept. Tears of joy, of memory. It was as it had once been. Fire elves united in passion, in dance, and in love for life. When the music ended, it took the crowd a moment to awaken from their trance. Then came a thunderous cheer. Liana stood there, breathless, laughing, her face flushed, fire blazing in her eyes. And in that moment, every elf in Ainarian finally saw the fire within her. After the festival, many came to her, offering praise, admiration, and for the first time, acceptance. She was welcomed at last among her people. But Liana knew her place wasn't here. What she had done tonight, she wanted to share it with the world. She would dance and sing across all of Atolis. Her passion would become her path. In the months that followed, Liana traveled across the lands. Her songs echoed by the pyramids of Nefer, through the halls of Waria, in the gardens of Eldvalin, and on the grand stages of Namer. She sang for kings and beggars, for warriors and children. Wherever she went, she brought fire, not only to the hearts of others, but to her own. Years later, on another day of the fire dance, Sarael prepared for the evening with a smile. Since Liana's performance, the festival had changed. It had become a celebration of life again, not a competition. She gazed into a crystal orb her granddaughter had once given her. Inside, she saw Liana on a vast stage, singing and dancing before a roaring crowd. Sarael chuckled softly. "You showed them, my child." Today, long after that night, Liana Firetongue is known as one of the greatest bards Atolis has ever seen. Her songs are sung across the worlds by all peoples, and it is said that wherever she sings, the flames burn brighter and hotter. And every year, on the day of the fire dance, the young elves of Ainarian dance not only with flame, but with heart, for they know you don't need magic to burn.